The stars blurred into long white streaks as the USS Tempest dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Commander Lucas Grant gripped the armrest of his captain's chair, feeling the familiar lurch in his stomach as the ship returned to normal space. The experimental quantum drive had worked perfectly, throwing them 30,000 light-years from Earth in just under 3 minutes. It was supposed to be humanity's greatest achievement. Kate Morrison sat at the communications station, her fingers dancing across the holographic displays. She was young for her position, only 26, but she had the best ears in the fleet. Suddenly her face went pale. She pressed her headset closer to her ear, listening to something that made her hands start shaking. "Commander, I'm picking up distress signals. Hundreds of them. All on the same frequency." Her voice cracked slightly. "Sir, they're screaming for help." Lucas stood up and walked to her station. The main view screen flickered to life, showing a planet in the distance. It was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents wrapped in white clouds, but something was terribly wrong. Dark shapes moved in orbit around the world, and bright flashes of light kept erupting on the planet's surface. "Get me a visual," Lucas ordered. The screen zoomed in, and everyone on the bridge stopped breathing. Massive alien warships surrounded the planet like sharks circling prey. They were firing down at the surface, turning entire cities into lakes of fire. The ships were dark gray, covered in sharp angles and weapon ports. They looked like they were designed for one purpose: killing. Ryan Palmer, the first officer, stood beside Lucas. He was older, more cautious, and right now his face showed pure concern. "Sir, we need to stay hidden. Whatever this is, we're not equipped to handle it." Danny Clark spoke up from the weapons station. He was ex-military, tough as nails, and always ready for a fight. "I count 12 hostile vessels. Heavy cruiser class. Those poor people down there don't stand a chance." Kate's voice interrupted. "I'm translating the distress calls now. The species calls themselves the Verum. They're begging for anyone to help them. They say an empire is destroying their world because they refuse to surrender." She looked up at Lucas with tears in her eyes. "They're killing everyone, Commander. Women, children, everyone." Lucas watched the alien warships rain destruction on the helpless planet. According to Earth's protocols, they should observe and report back. They were alone, thousands of light years from backup with an untested drive system. Every logical part of his brain told him to stay hidden and survive. But logic wasn't the only thing that made someone human. "Amy, how long until the quantum drive can jump us home?" Lucas asked. Amy Hughes, the defensive systems officer, checked her displays. 72 hours minimum, sir. The drive needs to recharge completely before another jump. So we're stuck here for 3 days no matter what we do," Lucas said quietly. He looked at the burning planet on the screen. Somewhere down there, people were dying while calling for help that would never come. Ryan stepped closer and lowered his voice. "Lucas, I know what you're thinking. But we can't save them. We don't know anything about these aliens or their weapons. We could start an interstellar war." "We could," Lucas agreed. "Or we could watch millions of innocent people die and do nothing." He turned to face his first officer. "I didn't join Earth's Defense Force to hide when people need help." Paul Bennett's voice crackled over the intercom from engineering. "Commander, the reactor is running at full power. Just say the word and I'll give you everything she's got." Lucas took a deep breath. He knew this decision would change everything. For Earth, for his crew, for humanity's place in the galaxy. But when he closed his eyes, all he could see were those distress signals, those desperate voices calling into the void. He opened his eyes and his voice was steady. "Battle stations. Kate, send them a message on all frequencies. Tell them help has arrived. Danny, charge all weapons. Amy, bring our shields to maximum. Ryan, plot an intercept course." Ryan hesitated for just a moment, then nodded. "Aye, sir." "All hands, this is the first officer. Battle stations. This is not a drill." Red lights bathed the bridge as the ship went to combat readiness. The Tempest hummed with power as every system came online. The crew moved with practiced precision, each person knowing their role perfectly. "Sir, those alien ships are detecting us," Amy reported. "They're turning toward our position." "Let them look," Lucas said. "Drop the cloak. I want them to see us coming." The Tempest shimmered into view, hanging in space between the alien fleet and the dying planet. Compared to the massive enemy warships, the human vessel looked small and fragile, but appearances could be deceiving. Kate's station beeped urgently. "Commander, we're being hailed by the lead enemy ship. Audio only. Put it through. A deep, harsh voice filled the bridge. The words were alien, but the computer translated them instantly. Unknown vessel, you are interfering with Krellian Empire business. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. This is your only warning. Lucas looked at his crew. They were scared. He could see it in their eyes. But they were also ready. They trusted him and he would not let them down. Kate, open a channel. Let me talk to these bastards. Channel open, sir. Lucas spoke clearly, his voice carrying the weight of Earth behind it. This is Commander Lucas Grant of the Earth Warship Tempest. You are murdering innocent people. I'm giving you one chance to stop your attack and withdraw. If you refuse, we will stop you by force. There was a long silence. Then the alien voice returned, filled with amusement. Foolish creature. The Krellian Empire has ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. We have crushed 1,000 species who dared oppose us. Your primitive ship will burn like all the others. The communication cut off. Danny checked his displays. All 12 enemy ships are moving to attack formation. They're charging weapons. Lucas sat back down in his chair. His heart was pounding, but his hands were steady. Amy, angle our shields. Danny, target the lead ship. Ryan, evasive pattern Delta. Paul, I need everything you've got. Ryan turned to look at his commander one last time. No turning back now. Lucas smiled grimly. No turning back. All weapons fire. The Tempest leaped forward into battle, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Theron Cole stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominator, watching the small alien vessel approach his fleet. In his 40 years of service to the Krellian Empire, he had conquered 47 worlds. He had seen species beg for mercy, fight with desperate courage, and die with honor, but he had never seen anything quite like this. One ship, a tiny vessel barely the size of a Krellian destroyer, and it was attacking his entire fleet. Analysis, Theron commanded. His bridge crew scrambled to their stations, sensors sweeping over the unknown vessel. The ship is unlike anything in our database, Admiral, his science officer reported. The hull composition is strange. Some kind of composite armor we cannot identify, and their engine signature is completely foreign. Weapons? Theron asked. Unknown. But they are powering up something. Multiple energy spikes across their hull. Theron felt a strange sensation in his chest. It took him a moment to recognize it because he had not felt it in so long. It was curiosity, mixed with the smallest hint of concern. This species, whoever they were, had just made the worst mistake of their existence. All ships, combat formation. Target that vessel and destroy it. The Krellian fleet opened fire. 12 massive warships unleashed a storm of plasma bolts that lit up the void like a miniature sun. The barrage was enough to vaporize a small moon. It struck the human ship directly, and the Tempest kept coming. Impossible, Theron's tactical officer whispered. Their shields absorbed 90% of our fire. The rest deflected off their armor. We barely scratched them. On the Tempest, Amy Hughes watched her displays with satisfaction, shields holding at 85%. Their weapons are powerful, but our defensive field is handling it. Danny, return fire, Lucas ordered. Danny's fingers flew across his controls, firing railguns. The Tempest's main weapon spoke for the first time in combat. 4 massive electromagnetic cannons launched tungsten rods at impossible speeds. The projectiles crossed the distance in seconds, moving so fast they were nearly invisible. They struck the nearest Krellian destroyer amidships. The effect was devastating. The kinetic rounds punched through the alien ship's shields like they were not even there. They tore through the hull, ripping massive holes in the vessel's structure. Secondary explosions rippled across the destroyer as its power core went critical. Target destroyed, Danny reported, his voice filled with grim satisfaction. Theron watched his destroyer break apart, and for the first time in his career he felt genuine fear. The alien ship had destroyed one of his vessels with a single attack. Their weapons operated on principles he did not understand, hitting with raw kinetic force instead of energy beams. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Concentrate fire on that vessel. Bring it down now. The Krellian fleet spread out, trying to surround the human ship. But the Tempest moved with impossible grace, sliding between their attacks like a dancer. Ryan Palmer guided the ship through the chaos, his hands steady on the controls. 2 destroyers coming in from port side, Amy called out. I see them, Ryan replied, rolling the Tempest hard to starboard. Plasma bolts flashed past, missing by meters. Launching missiles, Danny announced. Fox 3, Fox 3. Nuclear-tipped missiles streaked away from the Tempest, their quantum guidance systems locking onto multiple targets. The Krellians tried to shoot them down, but the missiles dodged and weaved, their programming too advanced for the alien point defense systems. 2 missiles found their targets. Nuclear fire bloomed in the void, and 2 more Krellian ships died screaming. Kate worked frantically at her station, intercepting enemy communications. "Sir, they're confused. They're asking each other what we are and where we came from. Their admiral is ordering them to maintain formation, but they're scared." "Good," Lucas said coldly. "Let them be scared. Maybe they'll think twice before murdering defenseless people again." Paul's voice came through from engineering. "Commander, I'm pushing the reactor to 110%. We're running hot, but we've got power to spare. These shields are incredible." The battle raged on. The Tempest was outnumbered 12-1, but human technology and tactics were proving superior. Danny switched between railguns, missiles, and laser weapons, keeping the Krellians off balance. Amy's point defense systems intercepted incoming fire with computer-guided precision. Ryan flew the ship like an extension of his own body. Theron watched his fleet fall apart. 5 ships destroyed, 3 more heavily damaged. The alien vessel showed only minor damage to its shields. His warriors, veterans of countless battles, were dying against a single unknown ship. He had to make a choice. He could stay and fight, potentially losing his entire fleet, or he could retreat and face the shame of defeat. But if he retreated, he could warn the Empire about this new threat. "All ships prepare for emergency jump to faster than light," Theron ordered. His crew looked at him in shock. The great Admiral Theron Cole had never retreated from a battle in his life. "But Admiral, we still outnumber them," his tactical officer protested. "And we have lost 5 ships to their 0, Theron snapped. "If we stay, we will all die. The Empire must know about this species. Their technology is far beyond ours." On the Tempest, Danny noticed the enemy ships powering up their jump drives. "Commander, they're running. Should I try to stop them?" Lucas considered it for a moment, then shook his head. "Let them go. I want them to tell their Empire what happened here. I want them to know that they're not invincible anymore." The surviving Krellian ships vanished in flashes of light, jumping away to safety. The Tempest hung alone in space, victorious against impossible odds. Ryan let out a long breath he did not know he had been holding. "We did it." "We actually did it. Damage report," Lucas ordered, keeping his voice calm even though his heart was racing. Amy checked her systems. "Shields at 40%. Minor hull damage on sections 3 and 7. No casualties. Engineering reports all systems functional." "Kate, any more distress signals from the planet?" "The bombardment has stopped, sir. I'm picking up thousands of life signs on the surface. They survived." Kate's voice was thick with emotion. "They're broadcasting messages of thanks. They want to know who we are." Lucas stood up and walked to the main view screen. The planet still smoked from the Krellian attack, but it was intact. Millions of people down there would live to see tomorrow because of what his crew had just done. "Tell them we are humans from Earth," Lucas said quietly. "Tell them they are not alone anymore." Lisa Turner's voice came over the intercom from the medical bay. "Commander, I have medical teams ready to beam down to the surface if needed. From what I am seeing on the sensors, there will be a lot of wounded. Prepare the teams, Lisa. Ryan, take us into orbit. Let's see how we can help these people." As the Tempest moved toward the planet, Lucas thought about what they had just started. The Krellian Empire now knew about Earth. They would come looking for revenge. Humanity had just made powerful enemies, but they had also made friends. And they had proven something important. The Krellian Empire could be beaten. The war had begun and nothing would ever be the same. The underground networks of the galaxy lit up with impossible news. Encrypted messages bounced from world to world, spreading faster than light itself. Species that had lived under Krellian rule for centuries whispered in disbelief. A single ship had defeated an entire Krellian assault fleet. The recordings from Verum showed everything, and nobody could believe their eyes. On Krellia Prime, the capital world of the Empire, the Grand Council gathered in their obsidian chamber. Supreme Overlord Vanek the Conqueror sat on his throne, watching the battle footage for the 8th time. He was old, nearly 200 years, and he had ruled the Empire for half his life. In all that time, he had never seen anything like this. "Play it again," Vanek commanded. The holographic display showed the human vessel emerging from nowhere. It showed the battle, the destruction of 5 Krellian ships, and the shameful retreat of Admiral Theron Cole. The council members watched in heavy silence. Their shields are beyond our technology, the head science advisor said nervously. Our plasma weapons are useless against them, and their kinetic weapons punch through our defenses like they are made of paper. What species is this? Vanek demanded. Where did they come from? We do not know, Supreme Overlord. They call themselves humans from a world called Earth. But Earth is not in any of our charts. We have never encountered them before. Vanek stood up, his massive frame towering over the council. One ship. One single ship destroyed 5 of our vessels and damaged 3 more. If they have a fleet of these ships, they could threaten the entire Empire. The military commander, General Kravik, stepped forward. With your permission, Supreme Overlord, I will take a battle group of 100 ships and destroy their homeworld before they can become a real threat. No, Vanek said firmly. We know nothing about them. We do not know where their world is located, how many ships they have, or what other weapons they possess. We will not rush into battle blind. He turned to face the council. This is different from every other species we have encountered. Do you understand why? The council members looked at each other, confused. They attacked us, Vanek continued. They were outnumbered 12-1 in our territory with no support. Any logical species would have stayed hidden, but they saw us attacking the Verum and they chose to fight immediately. They did not calculate the odds. They did not try to negotiate. They just attacked. He paused, letting that sink in. This species does not think like we do. That makes them extremely dangerous. Aboard the Tempest, Lucas stood in the shuttle bay watching medical teams prepare to go down to the planet's surface. Lisa Turner supervised the loading of medical supplies, her face set with determination. How bad is it down there? Lucas asked. Bad, Lisa replied. The Krellians hit population centers deliberately. Millions dead, tens of millions wounded. But it could have been worse. If we had arrived an hour later, everyone would be dead. A Verum delegation was arriving on a small transport ship. Lucas had agreed to meet with their leaders in person. Ryan Palmer stood beside him, still cautious about everything. We should be careful, sir. We don't know these people. They could be a threat. They could be, Lucas agreed. But they also could be allies. We are going to need friends out here, Ryan. The Verum transport docked and the airlock opened. 3 aliens stepped through, and Lucas got his first good look at the species they had saved. The Verum were tall and thin, with smooth gray skin and large dark eyes. They moved with grace, almost floating across the floor. The leader wore simple robes and carried no weapons. I am Devon, the alien said, speaking in perfect English. The computer had translated his language quickly. I am the Scholar Prime of the Verum people. On behalf of my entire species, I thank you for saving us. We owe you our lives. Lucas shook the alien's hand, feeling the 3-fingered grip. Commander Lucas Grant, I am sorry we could not arrive sooner. You arrived exactly when we needed you, Devon said softly. We had given up hope. We thought nobody would help us. The Krellian Empire is too powerful, too cruel. Every species in the galaxy fears them. Not every species, Lucas said with a slight smile. Devon's large eyes showed something that might have been amusement. No, apparently not every species. The humans are either very brave or very foolish. Perhaps both. Definitely both, Ryan muttered. They walked to the conference room and Devon brought up a holographic map of the galaxy. You must understand what you have done, Commander Grant. The Krellian Empire controls 900 worlds across 3 spiral arms. They have 10,000 warships, maybe more. They have ruled for 3,000 years without a single major defeat. Until now, Kate Morrison added from the doorway. She had been invited to the meeting as the communications expert. Until now, Devon agreed. But that is why you are in terrible danger. The Krellians will not forget this. They will hunt for your homeworld. They will come with everything they have. Lucas had been expecting this. How long do we have? I do not know. But the Krellians are careful. They will study you, plan, and then strike. Maybe months, maybe a year, but they will come. Paul Bennett spoke up through the intercom. Commander, I hate to interrupt, but the quantum drive is recharging slower than expected. We are looking at 90 hours before we can jump home, not 72. Understood, Paul. Keep me updated. Lucas turned back to Devon. Tell me about the other species under Krellian rule. Are they all like the Verum? Peaceful people who got conquered? Devon's expression grew dark. Not all. The Thorians were great warriors before the Krellians defeated them a century ago. The Zentari are brilliant engineers forced to build weapons for the Empire. The Helians are scouts and spies, masters of stealth. There are dozens of species, hundreds of billions of people, all living under Krellian control. Do they want freedom? Lucas asked. Of course they do. But wanting and having are different things. The Krellians crush any rebellion before it can start. They use fear and overwhelming force to keep everyone in line. That works until someone stops being afraid, Danny Clark said, joining the meeting. Commander, I have been analyzing the battle data. The Krellians have powerful weapons, but their tactics are basic. They rely on numbers and brute force. If we fight smart, we can beat them again. Devon looked at the human officer with something like wonder. You are not planning to run home and hide, are you? Lucas looked at his crew, seeing the determination on their faces. They were scared, yes, but they were also angry. They had seen what the Krellians did to innocent people, and they wanted to stop it. We have 90 hours before we can leave, Lucas said slowly. That is 90 hours we could spend hiding in empty space. Or we could spend it doing something useful. You want to fight them again, Devon said, not really asking. I want to give people hope, Lucas replied. Right now, the Krellian Empire thinks they are invincible. Every species in the galaxy believes that. But we proved that wrong. One human ship defeated a Krellian fleet. If we can do it once, we can do it again. Ryan shook his head, but he was smiling. You are absolutely crazy, sir. You know that, right? Probably, Lucas admitted. But I am also right. We have 90 hours before we go home. Let us make them count. Devon, we need information. Where are the Krellian supply lines? Which worlds are most important to them? Which species might join a resistance if they thought they had a chance? Devon looked at the human commander for a long moment. Then he began to smile. I will tell you everything we know. But Commander, you must understand. If you do this, if you stay here and fight, you will become the most wanted beings in the galaxy. The Krellians will hunt you everywhere. Let them try, Amy Hughes said from the doorway. We will be ready. Kate was already working on her terminal. I am intercepting more Krellian communications. They are calling emergency meetings, reassigning fleets. They are definitely worried about us. Good, Lucas said. The longer they worry about us, the more time Earth has to prepare, and the more hope we can give to the people living under their rule. He stood up and looked at everyone in the room. We came here by accident, but maybe it was meant to happen. Maybe humanity was meant to find you, to show the galaxy that the Krellian Empire can be beaten. I do not know, but I know we are not going to waste these 90 hours. Devon placed his hand over his chest in what must have been a Verum gesture of respect. Then the Verum stand with you, Commander Grant. Whatever you need, we will provide. We need a target, Danny said with a grin. Something that will hurt the Krellians and help the resistance. Devon thought for a moment, then brought up a section of the star map. There is a supply depot 3 light years from here. It serves 20 Krellian military outposts. If you destroyed it, you would cripple their operations in this entire sector. Lucas looked at the target, calculating distances and risks. Then he smiled. Ryan, plot a course. Kate, prepare a message to broadcast across all frequencies after we hit them. Danny, start planning the attack. The crew moved to action, energy filling the room. They were just one ship, thousands of light years from home, facing an empire that had never been defeated. But they were human, and humans had a bad habit of doing impossible things. 3 months had passed since the battle at Verum Prime, and the galaxy was changing in ways nobody had predicted. The Tempest had become a ghost story that Krellian soldiers whispered about in fear. The human warship appeared without warning, struck military targets, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Each attack was calculated not just to hurt the Krellians, but to humiliate them. Lucas stood on the bridge, studying reports from across the sector. They were no longer alone. The Verum had spread the word through underground networks, and other species were starting to resist. Small acts of sabotage at first, then larger rebellions. The myth of Krellian invincibility was cracking. Commander, we are receiving a coded transmission from Thorian space, Kate announced. They want to meet with us. Ryan looked up from his station with concern. Could be a trap, sir. Could be, Lucas agreed. But we will never build alliances if we hide from everyone. Kate, send coordinates for a meeting in neutral space. Danny, make sure we have an escape route planned. 2 days later, the Tempest floated in empty space between star systems. A massive warship emerged from faster-than-light travel, and Lucas felt his breath catch. The Thorian vessel was ancient, probably 100 years old, but it was huge, easily 3 times the size of the Tempest. That is a battleship, Danny said with respect. Old design, but still dangerous. They are hailing us, Kate reported. A holographic figure appeared on the bridge. The Thorian was enormous, easily 8 feet tall, with thick armor-like skin and 4 powerful arms. He looked like he was born for war. When he spoke, his voice was deep as thunder. I am Commander Vex of the Thorian Resistance Fleet. You are the humans who defeated the Krellians at Verum Prime? We are, Lucas replied. Commander Lucas Grant of Earth, it is an honor to meet you. Vex studied the human through the hologram. You are small creatures. I expected you to be larger, to match your courage. We get that a lot, Ryan muttered. The Thorians were a warrior people, Vex continued. We fought the Krellians for 20 years before they finally defeated us. They killed billions of my people and forced the survivors to serve them. For a century, we have waited for a chance to fight back. Then you appeared, one small ship against an entire fleet. You won. You gave us hope. Lucas felt the weight of those words. What do you need from us, Commander Vex? Training, Vex said simply. We have ships, old ones hidden away for decades. We have warriors ready to fight, but we do not have your tactics, your weapons technology. The Krellians beat us because they were better organized, not because they were stronger. Teach us to fight as you do, and we will stand beside you. Danny leaned forward with interest. Commander, I could train them. Show them Earth's combat tactics, how to coordinate multiple ships, hit and run strategies. We would also need to upgrade their ships, Paul added. Even old Thorian battleships would be formidable with better shields and weapons. Lucas made his decision. Commander Vex, we accept your alliance. My crew will help you prepare your fleet, but I need something from you in return. Name it. Information. The Krellians control 900 worlds. We need to know which ones are important, where their fleets are located, and which species might join a resistance movement if they see we have a chance. Vex's expression might have been a smile, though it was hard to tell. We have been gathering such information for 100 years, Commander Grant, waiting for the day we could use it. That day has come. Over the next month, the Tempest worked closely with the Thorian resistance. Danny ran combat drills, teaching the Thorian warriors how to fight as coordinated units instead of individual heroes. Amy helped them upgrade their ship defenses, installing shield generators based on human designs. Paul showed Zentari engineers who had secretly joined the resistance how to improve their weapon systems. Kate established a communication network across dozens of worlds, using codes that the Krellians could not break. Suddenly, species that had not talked to each other in centuries were sharing information and planning together. Lisa treated wounded resistance fighters from a dozen species, learning their biology and building a database that would save countless lives in the future. She also made a discovery that surprised everyone. Commander, I need to show you something, Lisa said, pulling Lucas aside in the medical bay. She brought up a display showing genetic information. I have been studying samples from various species, including humans. We have an unusual resistance to a bioweapon the Krellians use to control populations. The weapon makes most species passive and easy to control, but it would barely affect humans. Why? Lucas asked. I am not sure. Maybe something in our evolutionary history. Maybe genetic diversity. But it is a real advantage. If the Krellians try to use bioweapons against us, they will not work very well. Lucas filed that information away. Every advantage mattered in this fight. Meanwhile, Admiral Theron Cole had become obsessed with destroying the human ship. He had been given command of a special task force with one mission: hunt down the Tempest and eliminate it. 50 of the Empire's best warships under his direct control, but the human ship was always one step ahead. Kate had broken the Krellian military codes and could predict their movements. Every time Theron thought he had them cornered, the Tempest was already gone. On Earth, the governments were in emergency session. The Tempest had been sending encrypted reports back home, and humanity now knew the truth. They were not alone in the universe, and they had already made powerful enemies. The United Earth Defense Initiative went into full production mode. Shipyards that had been building commercial vessels switched to military construction. Scientists who had been working on the quantum drive were now developing weapons. Soldiers were training for a war that might come to Earth's doorstep, but building a fleet took time. The Tempest was alone out there, and everyone knew it. Back in the field, the resistance was growing stronger. The Zentari provided intelligence on Krellian military installations. The Helian scouts mapped safe routes through Krellian space. The Thorian warriors provided muscle, and the humans provided something else: the belief that victory was possible. Devon contacted the Tempest with urgent news. Commander, we have intercepted communications from Krelia Prime. Supreme Overlord Vanek is planning something big. He is pulling ships from across the Empire, assembling a massive fleet. Where? Lucas demanded. Verum Prime. He plans to destroy the world completely, make an example that will crush the Resistance forever, and he knows you will come to defend it. Lucas felt cold dread settle in his stomach. It is a trap. He is using the Verum as bait to draw us out. Yes, Devon said quietly, but he is also going to kill my people if you do not come. Billions of Verum will die, Ryan spoke up. Sir, we cannot fight a whole fleet. We have been lucky so far, hitting targets and running, but if we stay and fight, we will be destroyed. I know, Lucas said. He looked at the star map, thinking hard. How long until the Krelian fleet arrives at Verum Prime? 2 weeks? Then we have 2 weeks to prepare. Kate, contact every resistance cell we have worked with. Tell them we need them at Verum Prime. Danny, I want every Thorian ship combat ready. Paul, push the engineers to upgrade as many vessels as possible. Sir, even with all our allies, we will be outnumbered, Amy pointed out. Yes, we will, Lucas agreed. But we will also have something the Krelians do not have. We will have people fighting for their freedom, not for an empire. We will have warriors from a dozen species working together, and we will have the advantage of knowing they are coming. Ryan studied his commander. You have a plan, do not you? The beginning of one, Lucas admitted. The Krelians expect us to fight a traditional space battle. We are not going to give them what they expect. Kate was already working on something. Sir, if we could coordinate all our ships in a defensive network around the planet, sharing shield power and point defense systems, we could hold out much longer. Good. Keep developing that idea. Danny added, we could also use the planet's gravity well to our advantage. Force the Krelians to come to us instead of fighting in open space. Better. What else? The crew gathered around, brainstorming ideas. They were one human ship with a ragtag fleet of resistance fighters, about to face the full might of the Krelian Empire. The smart thing would be to run. The safe thing would be to go home. But nobody suggested running. They had come too far and too many people were counting on them. Lucas looked at his crew and felt a surge of pride. They were exhausted, running on too little sleep and too much stress. But they were ready to fight. They were ready to stand against an empire. 2 weeks, Lucas said. We have 2 weeks to prepare for the biggest battle any of us will ever face. Let us make them count. The space around Verum Prime was filled with ships like never before. 200 vessels from a dozen different species hung in defensive formation around the planet. Thorian battleships, their ancient hulls upgraded with human technology. Centauri cruisers equipped with new weapons. Helian scouts providing reconnaissance. Verum transports converted into hospital ships. And at the center of it all, the USS Tempest, the ship that had started everything. Lucas stood on the bridge watching the final preparations. They had spent 2 weeks turning a ragtag group of resistance fighters into something resembling a real fleet. It was not enough, but it would have to be. Final count, Kate? 207 ships total, sir. The Krelians are bringing 300. Kate paused. 3 Earth warships just emerged from Quantum Drive. The USS Thunder, USS Phoenix, and USS Defiant are here. Lucas felt hope surge through him. Get me a channel to their commanders. 3 faces appeared on the screen. Captain Steve Morrison of the Thunder, Captain Julia Hayes of the Phoenix, and Captain Nick Barnes of the Defiant. They all looked grim but determined. Good to see you, Lucas, Steve said. He was older, a veteran of Earth's Defense Force. We got your reports. Command sent us to bring you home. I am not going home yet, Lucas replied. We figured, Julia added with a slight smile. That is why they sent us with full weapons loads. 4 human warships are better than 1. We brought something else too, Nick said. Intelligence reports. Earth has been monitoring Krelian communications. We know about their attack plan. They are coming with everything they have. Supreme Overlord Vanek himself is leading the fleet. Ryan spoke up. How much time do we have? 6 hours, Steve replied. Maybe less. Lucas turned to his crew. You heard them. 6 hours to final preparations. Make every second count. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos. Danny coordinated with the other human ships, linking their tactical systems. Amy worked with engineers across the fleet, creating a defensive network that would share shield power between ships. Paul pushed the Tempest's reactor to its absolute limits, Kate established communication protocols so species that had never worked together could coordinate in battle. Lisa prepared medical facilities on the planet's surface, knowing there would be casualties. Devon appeared on the screen from the surface. Commander Grant, my people are evacuating to underground shelters, but we need more time. We will buy you as much time as we can, Lucas promised. Commander Vex contacted from his battleship. Human Lucas, my warriors are ready to die with honor today. It has been a privilege to fight beside you. We are not planning to die, Vex, we are planning to win. The Thorian commander laughed, a sound like rolling thunder. Then it will be an even greater honor. 6 hours later, the Krellian fleet arrived. 300 warships emerged from faster-than-light travel, and they were enormous. Dreadnoughts and battlecruisers, destroyers and carriers. The largest military force the Krellian Empire had assembled in a century. At the center of the fleet was Vanik's flagship, a massive vessel that dwarfed everything else. The Supreme Overlord himself had come to crush the resistance and destroy the humans who dared challenge him. Admiral Theron Cole stood beside Vanik on the flagship's bridge. He had waited months for this moment. The human ship that had humiliated him would finally be destroyed. Analysis, Vanik commanded. They have assembled a defensive fleet, Theron reported. 200 ships, mixed species, and 4 human vessels, not one. Vanik studied the enemy formation. They are defending the planet. Foolish, they should have scattered and run. Humans do not think logically, Supreme Overlord. That is what makes them dangerous. Dangerous, Vanik repeated. One species with 4 ships is not dangerous to an empire. Today we will prove that. Today we will remind the galaxy why the Krellian Empire is invincible. He opened a channel to all his ships. This is Supreme Overlord Vanik. The creatures before us have murdered our warriors and encouraged rebellion across our empire. They have challenged our authority and questioned our right to rule. Today we will answer them with fire and death. Today we will show them what happens to those who oppose the Krellian Empire. All ships attack formation. Destroy them all. The Krellian fleet surged forward. On the Tempest, Lucas watched the enemy approach. The odds were terrible. The Krellians had better numbers, bigger ships, more weapons. But the resistance had something else. All ships, this is Commander Grant, hold your positions. Let them come to us. Remember your training. Fight as one, not as individuals. Protect each other. And remember why we are here. We fight for freedom. We fight for the innocent. We fight because someone has to stand against tyranny. He paused. For Earth, for our allies, for the future. Let us show them what courage looks like. Across the fleet, warriors from a dozen species heard his words and felt their determination harden. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and facing an empire that had never been truly defeated. But they were ready. The battle began. The Krellian fleet opened fire, and the void lit up with plasma bolts and missiles. The defensive network held, shields from multiple ships linking together to absorb the assault. But the sheer volume of fire was overwhelming. Shields at 70% and dropping, Amy reported. We cannot hold this forever. We do not need forever, Lucas replied. Danny, all human ships target their flagship. Concentrated fire. 4 human warships opened fire simultaneously. Railguns, missiles, and laser weapons all struck Vanik's flagship at once. The attack was devastating, but the massive vessel's shields held. Again, Lucas ordered. Keep hitting them. Vanik felt his ship rock under the assault. Focus all forward guns on those human ships. I want them destroyed. The Krellian flagship's main weapons fired, massive plasma cannons that could crack a moon. But the human ships scattered, moving with impossible coordination. The shots missed and the humans fired back again. Thorian battleships charged into the Krellian formation, their ancient hulls absorbing incredible punishment while they returned fire. Zentari cruisers used their speed to hit and run, striking vulnerable targets. Helian scouts marked high-value targets for everyone else. The battle raged for hours. Ships on both sides were destroyed, bright explosions marking where crews had died. The resistance fleet fought with desperate courage, but they were being pushed back. We have lost 30 ships, Kate reported, her voice strained. Krellian losses are higher, but they have more ships to lose. Lucas checked the tactical display. The Krellians were grinding them down through sheer numbers. They needed something to change the momentum. Then Danny noticed something. Commander, the Krellian flagship is moving forward. Vanik is trying to break through our formation himself. He wants to reach the planet, Ryan said. If he gets past us, he can start bombarding the surface. Lucas saw the opportunity. All human ships form on me. We are going to stop him. The 4 Earth warships broke from the main battle and intercepted Vanek's flagship. It was an insane move. 4 small vessels against a dreadnought. But it forced Vanek to deal with them instead of reaching the planet. Admiral Theron Cole watched the human ships attack with a mixture of respect and frustration. They fought with such precision, such fearlessness. He had spent his career conquering species, but he had never faced anything like humans. The flagship shook under repeated impacts. Shields failing, a Krellian officer reported. Hull breaches on multiple decks. Theron made a decision. He had served the Empire his entire life, but he had also learned to recognize the truth. The Krellians were going to lose this battle. Not today maybe, but eventually. The humans and their allies would never stop fighting. He thought about his career, his victories, the species he had crushed. And he realized something. He was tired of crushing the weak. For once he wanted to fight for something meaningful. Supreme Overlord, Theron said quietly, we should withdraw. We have lost too many ships. Never, Vanek roared. The Empire does not retreat. We will destroy them all or die trying. Theron looked at the human ships on the display. They had been fighting for 18 hours straight. They should be exhausted, their systems failing. But they kept coming, kept fighting. He thought about what he could do in this moment. He had one choice that could change everything. I am sorry, Supreme Overlord, Theron said. Then he turned to his crew. Engineering, prepare for ramming speed. Target the Supreme Overlord's command deck. What are you doing? Vanek demanded. What I should have done years ago, Theron replied. Fighting for something that matters. He activated his ship's final command override, locking out Vanek's controls. The Dominator surged forward on its last reserves of power, heading straight for the flagship's bridge. On the Tempest, Danny watched in shock as the Krellian ship suddenly changed course. Commander, one of their vessels is ramming the flagship. The Dominator struck Vanek's command center at full speed. The explosion was massive, and both ships were destroyed instantly. Supreme Overlord Vanek the Conqueror died without ever understanding why his own admiral had betrayed him. Without their leader, the Krellian fleet fell into chaos. Ship commanders argued over who was in charge. Some wanted to retreat, others to continue fighting. The unified front collapsed. All ships, press the attack, Lucas ordered. The resistance fleet surged forward with renewed energy. The Krellians,